Her laughter is something I'll never forget, the kind that made my heart race when we were younger. Back then, it was sweet and melodic, the laughter I once adored. But now, as she entered the house after her business trip, it was something else, sharp and wild. "Hello, sweetie," Sarah greeted in a light, airy tone, as if she'd just returned from a place far from where she actually was, maybe a conference or something else entirely. Her laughter echoed through the room as she kicked off her heels and tossed her purse onto a nearby chair. But then she noticed it, the framed picture on the dining room table. Her laughter stopped abruptly, as though someone had flipped a switch. Her smile faltered, and her face drained of color. She stood there for a moment, frozen, staring at the photo of us on our wedding day. She looked stunning in her lace dress, and I looked sharp in my navy suit. We both appeared as if we had everything, like we had just hit the jackpot. But I had altered the photo. In bold red letters, I had written the words, "I know," across the glass. Her eyes widened with panic as she turned to face me. "What is this?" she demanded, her voice sharp. I leaned against the kitchen counter, folding my arms, my gaze fixed on her. "Sarah, why don't you explain it to me?" She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She was clearly trying to figure out how much I knew and how I had found out. I could practically see her mind racing, calculating her next move. "Jack, I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. Her usual confident demeanor was crumbling as I let out a bitter laugh, one that even I didn't recognize. My eyes locked onto hers, my voice low but seething with resentment. "Please, don't insult my intelligence. 4 months now. You've been deceiving me with your so-called business trips, late office hours, and sudden obsession with going to the gym." I pointed to the picture of us, then grabbed my phone, scrolling through a series of images, each one more damning than the last. Sarah's face twisted with concern as I showed her photos of her and her business partner, Mark, holding hands at a seaside resort, sharing a kiss beneath a cabana, laughing over drinks at a bar. "I can explain, Jack," she started, but I was already losing control. "Explain? How do you explain your secret rendezvous with Mark while I've been working late, covering for your lavish spa days and yoga retreats?" With each word, my voice grew louder until I was practically shouting. "You lied to me, Sarah, over and over again. Are you sorry because you got caught, or do you actually feel bad about what you've done?" She stepped toward me, her hands raised as if trying to offer comfort, to embrace me, thinking that would fix everything. "Please, Jack, just let me explain. It's not what it looks like." I stopped her with a raised hand. "No, don't. For the last 2 months, I've gathered everything I could find out. Do you want to know why?" She didn't respond, but I could see her lips quivering, fear taking over. I needed to make sure I wasn't imagining things. Now that I know what's been going on, I've made my decision. Even though she was crying, I didn't feel sorry for her. Not after everything she'd done. "I've already filed for divorce," I said, my voice cold and detached. "My lawyer has the documents. I suggest you take a good look at the prenuptial agreement you signed before you think about challenging it. You will receive the papers tomorrow." Her expression faltered even more. The reality of the situation was sinking in, and her demeanor crumbled. The contract was unwavering, designed to protect my family's business in case of an emergency. She would take only what she brought into the marriage, nothing more. "You don't have to do this, Jack," she murmured, barely audible. I ignored her. Then I added, "And I've already spoken to Mark's wife." The reaction was immediate. Her face drained of color as she seemed to freeze. She opened her mouth, but no words emerged. I let out a bitter smile, continuing, "Oh, don't worry." She was incredibly understanding. In fact, she even sent me some of her own photos. Did she really believe she was the only one hiding something? She started to cry, but I kept going. "No, no," I muttered as I pulled a folder from the drawer and tossed it onto the table. "I've gathered everything." The folder, filled with text images and receipts, landed on the table with a definitive thud. This is going straight to HR at your company if you try to dispute this divorce. Let's see how they handled two of their top managers having an affair during work hours on the company's dime. She dropped her head into her hands, defeated. Her voice was barely a whisper when she spoke. I made a mistake, Jack. Please. I still care about you. I chuckled bitterly, shaking my head. Love? Is this what you call love? No, Sarah. You don't love me. You love the life I gave you, the stability, the comfort. But you didn't respect me. You threw everything away for what? For a fleeting thrill. She cried harder, but I didn't feel the anger or sadness I thought I might. Instead, there was a strange sense of relief, like a burden I hadn't even known I was carrying had been lifted. I'm not angry, Sarah, I said softly. I'm just free. I grabbed my keys and added, I'm heading to a hotel for the next few days. By the end of the week, I've arranged for movers to pack your things. You need to leave this house. Her tear-streaked face twisted with despair as she looked up at me. Please, Jack. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. I shook my head. Some things can't be fixed, Sarah. As I reached for the door handle, I stopped and added, Oh, and I canceled the credit card for the new purse you bought during your last business trip. Without another word, I stepped out, leaving her sobbing behind me. The drive away from our home was filled with a jumble of emotions: anger, betrayal, grief. Yet beneath all of that, there was a deep, freeing sense of liberation. I had the chance to start fresh, to find someone who would truly value me after spending so many years with someone who didn't. The next morning, I woke up in the hotel to a message from Mark's wife. Thank you for telling me. I'm leaving him, too. We deserve better. She was right. We both deserve better. As I gazed out the window at the rising sun, I realized that the end of my marriage didn't mark the end of my life. It was the beginning of something new, something brighter. For the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope.